Hello everyone. In this video, we will talk about AWS Organization. The agenda of this video is we'll first talk about the challenges of managing multiple AWS accounts. Then we'll talk about what is AWS Organizations and then what is OUs, what is SCPs, member accounts. So let's get started. So first thing, what are the current challenges of managing multiple AWS accounts? So first is individual account management. Organizations have to create separate AWS accounts for different departments, for their different teams, projects, or environments. And each account you have to set the users, the roles, the policies, and the billing information. The second point is separate billing and cost tracking. Now your each AWS account had its own billing and payment setup, and it makes it very challenging to track and manage cost across the organization. The third point is limited visibility and control. When you do not have a centralized managed tools, organizations don't have the visibility and control over their overall AWS infrastructures. And it's very difficult for them to maintain the consistency, enforce security policies, and ensure compliance standards across multiple accounts. So these are the some current challenges if you do not use the AWS organization. So now let's talk about what is AWS Organization. So it is a managed service that enables you to centrally manage and govern multiple AWS accounts. It provides you features for organize your accounts into hierarchies and apply different policies across accounts. And it also simplify your billing and cost management. There is a consolidated billing for all your AWS accounts if you use the AWS organization. This is the simple diagram of how AWS organizations looks like and how it is configured. So at first place, you will see there is an AWS organization. This is your master account. And then there is a service control policies. So these are the policies like access that you can apply to different OUs. And here you have a OU. So you can create different OUs. Here I was just taking an example of production OUs, development OUs, and shared infrastructure. You could have a nested OUs also like workload application 1. Under that you could have production, development, testing based on your needs. And under that you would have the actual accounts like this production account goes to this production OU, this development account is going to this development OU, like that. So this is like a simple diagram of how that AWS organization is configured. So now let's talk about in more detail what is service control policies. So service control policies are used to centrally manage your permissions and access across member accounts within an AWS organization. It allows you to control which AWS services and actions can be accessed by your accounts. So here you could see the simple diagram. I have this main management account and then you have a service control policy. So I have defined like deny public S3 buckets and deny large EC2 instances. These are just some example. And then I have applied this deny public S3 bucket policies to this production account. So nobody can create a public S3 buckets in your production accounts. And I have applied the SCPs like deny large EC2 instances on your development account. So you could, it's a normal IAM policies that you can just write it and put it and create the policy and attach it to your OUs and your AWS accounts directly. We will show all those things, how it works in the demo also. But I just wanted to explain like what is SCPs and how it works. Now, there is a concept of OUs. So, OUs allow you to group and manage your accounts based on your criteria, like your departments, your team, your environments. It provides a way to apply policies and permissions at a granular level, ensure better control and governance. So, like we see that SCPs can be applied to OUs, and in then OUs, you could have different accounts. Member accounts are simple. They are just like an individual AWS accounts that are part of an AWS organization. And then in each member accounts, you can have its own resources, the configurations, while still they are being governed by the organization wide policies. So these are the simple concepts of AWS organization. Now let's do it, the demo, how it is working.
Here we will see how we can enable the AWS organizations. So you can log into one of your account which you want to consider as a management account and then search for the service which is AWS organization. So if you search it, you will get on this page, and here you can see central management for multiple AWS account, and there is no cost to use AWS organizations. So here you will see there is an option of create an organization, and just click on it. As soon as you click on it, this account would be considered as a management account, and all the things you can manage it from this account. You can create new accounts and the other configurations that you want to do. So this is the first step to make any one of your AWS account as a management account. And here you can see that under root it has created your this account management account.
Now you can create different OUs and manage your different AWS accounts. So if I click on action, so first you have to click on root, and then if you click on action, you will see that organization unit create new. So we will be creating like workload app one. So this could be like workloads for application one. Just an example, you can have it proper according to your application name. So create organization unit. So here you can see that you created one. Similarly, you can have, now you have this under this one workload app one, you can have the nested OUs also. So if I just click on this and click on action and create new. So here you can have dev. So generally in one applications, you can have different OUs for different environments. So here I can create this prod, right? So here you can see that I did create this workload app and then I have this dev and prod.
So now we have created the OUs, we have dev and prod. Now what is the next step? The next step, we need to create an AWS account. So for that, you can just click on AWS account like this. So there are two options. You can create a new brand new account, and you have an option to invite an existing account also. So here you will just put the name of the account, like any of the name whatever you want to put for your account name. And the next thing that is required is the email address associated with that account. So I'm just using this one. You can use whatever you want to use for this. So this is the account that I'm using, and here you will see the IAM role name. So what is this role? Here you can see the management account can use this IAM role to access resources in the member account. So this is where it's very important. So when you create a brand new AWS account using this process, this IAM role is automatically get created into the member account also, and it provides the organization account access to create anything on those member accounts, so that the basic IAM role is created and you can use that role for any kind of automation and for creating any resources in the member account. We will see the uses of this role in the coming videos when we are actually in the phase of creating any new resources in the member accounts or anything we want to do there. But this is the step of creating the AWS account. After that, you will just click on create AWS account. So after you click on create AWS account, your account will be created in few minutes. And once it's created, you will get this email, welcome to Amazon Web Services and thank you for creating an account. And you will also get 12 months for the free trial. In case there are any issue with the with the account creation, you will get that error here, like to request is cancelled. So you will see that why it's cancelled, because email already exists. So in case there are any issues with the account creation setup, you will see those errors on this page also. So now we have the accounts, we have the OUs. What is the next step? Service control policies. Now let's talk about the policies. So here you will see there is a service control policies which enable central administration over the permissions that actually determine which services and actions users and the roles can use across accounts in your organization. So if I click on service control policies, by default every account have full AWS access. There is no exceptions to that. Everybody, you have all the access. So you actually can now create a new policies, like you can create one policies like S3 bucket encryption policies. It's a simple IAM policies that we create when we create any IAM roles and all. So this is very simple. So there are so many examples of service control policies. So if you go to the AWS documentation, you will see that it provides like deny access to AWS based on the requested AWS region. There are a lot that they provide, but you can also customize it according to your need. So we will take just this example where you can see that nobody can put the object if it is not encrypted. So this permission you can actually set it up at the global level, which applies to all the AWS organizations, right? So this is how the benefit of SCPs, how it can actually solve the problem at the global level instead of at the account level. So if I just click on this, you just save, you can just uh, you can just paste it like this and just click on create policy. So you can see that this policy is created now, right? So now when I click on this policies, you will see in the targets like this policy is attached to what. So here if you have an option of click of attach, and now you can attach this policies to directly at the OUs level also like this, and you can directly apply to the account level also, right? So like this permission you want that in dev account people can create unencrypted, but on production you don't want. So you can just apply it to this prod OU. So this is how it helps you, that you can actually attach it to specific OUs instead of all OUs, right? So now just click on attach policy. So now on this account you won't be able to create the S3 bucket. S3 you cannot put any object which is not encrypted. So as this is how you can create different policies and attach it to your AWS accounts. So now here you can see that the account which we have created, it is showing by default the account will directly come here. Here you can see that it is showing it here. I wanted to move this to this, right? Because this is like, so again, you will click on this, click on move, and wherever I wanted to move, so it should be inside the prod, and this is all, it's moved now. So it looks clear also. Now at the end, now let's just talk about what are the best practices of AWS organizations. So you use different OUs, apply SCPs to your specific OUs to control the access and permissions. You can use the tagging strategies also that will apply to all your member accounts. You can have it at the global level. It can help you with the cross account resource sharing also, and also continuous monitoring and the compliance. Like you can use the AWS config, CloudTrail, and AWS security hub, so that you can monitor and have all the compliance at one place, and you can monitor all those things. So these are some best practices of using AWS organizations.
So here we will see how we can get the access to all the AWS member accounts. We have created or we have used AWS organizations to manage multiple accounts. Now the next part is how we can get the access to those AWS accounts. So for that, we will be using IAM Identity Center. which was called AWS Single Sign-On previously. So this is used to manage access to multiple AWS accounts and cloud applications. This is a managed service. It is highly available and it is regional service. Here you can see that it is not a global service and it is regional service. So the recommendation is you can choose the region where almost all your users are present instead of choosing any random one because of the latency things. But in general, people use this US East one, so you can just choose that. And then you can just click on enable. So just click on enable. So once you click on enable, you will see all this dashboard, and here you can see AWS Access Portal URL. So you can basically click on this URL and you will see that currently you will just get this sign in page, and we currently do not have any login and any username and password. So there is no way you can access anything currently. The second part is you can change the name of the URL also. So here you can put your subdomain, basically the DNS according to your company's URL, so that you don't need to be specific to this AWS identity URL and you can easily use the DNS name. So that configurations you can do it here. So now you got this URL. What is the next step? So that next step, you create some groups. So in general, people create some admin groups. So here you can see that I have just created this admin group. People create the developer group. So you can create the developer groups. The group's creation is according to your project requirements or your company's requirements. Based on that, you can have the separate groups based on your team, based on the application. So you can have different groups like that. So here you can just see create groups. Okay, so now we will create a user. So here is an option of add users. You will put the name of the user, which would be the username for that user, and provide the email address. I'm using my email address, your first name and your last name. You can have all the details if you want. Other than that, you can click on next, and then you can assign that user to the group. So I'm assigning this to admin. Click on next and add users. So once you create this user, you will see that the user will have received an email with all the instructions. So I'm going to my email, and here you can see that I got this email and this invitation will expire in 7 days. So I will just accept the invitation, and you can set the password now for your user. Okay. So once you do that, you see that I got this screen. And here you can see that your administrator will give you the access and AWS accounts, and whatever access you will have, you can see it here. So now let's go to the next part. So we have created groups, we have created users. Now the part is how we will give access to these users. So there is a concept of permission sets in this IAM Identity Center. So we'll click on this permission sets. These permission sets, like, it's simple policies, and there are some predefined and there are some custom permission sets. So like you can have like AWS managed policy, admin access, billing, database. So whatever you want, there are some predefined policies that AWS provides that you can directly use. The second is custom permission sets. So if you click on next, you can have your own attached policies. You can create your own policies and then use those. In this example, will be using the predefined and I am just giving admin access to that user. So if I click on next, and here you can see the session durations, you can have it. It is good for the security reasons, like you set this 4 hours or 8 hours or based on your requirements. So I'm setting it for 8 hours and click on next and create. So here you can see that I have created one permission set, which is administrator access. And here right now you can see that I do not have any account associated with this. So now how you will assign accounts to this permission set. So if you click on this AWS account, just an example. So this is one of my account and I want to assign some users and groups to that. So here you will select this group option and then you will select the permission set. So you will get all the permission sets that you have created for that. I'm selecting the admin access, click on next and submit. So you can see that here you are saying it is configuring your account. And now if I go there, here you can see that administrator access permission is assigned to this user. So now whoever group has assigned this permissions can access it. So now let me just refresh this page. So here you can see that I can see one of the account where I have the admin access and I can just click on this and I should be able to log into this new AWS account. Here you can see. So this is how the permission works in this AWS account and how you can use this IAM Identity Center to manage it. Okay, so we have seen how we can get the access to the AWS account. So this is all the users that we are maintaining internally. So this is good for your small projects and small companies where you just have 5 to 6 users and you can just manage it like this. Most of the companies are using like Microsoft AD or any LDAP or any external authenticator so that you can also use it. So here if I go there in the settings, if you go there, identity source, you have an option to change the identity source. So right now I'm using this AWS managed identity center directory, but you can have the active directory, you can have the external identity providers that will have its own configurations. But to make it simple and to be useful for the small organizations and for the small companies where there is no active directories, you can just manage it directly here like this.
So now we have created the AWS accounts. We have created the IAM Identity Center also to access those accounts. Now we will see how we can deploy any resources to those member accounts. So for that, first thing I wanted to tell you, when this account is created like this one, then on basis of what this AWS organization can access this account. So if I logged into this account, so let me just logged in. So here you can see that I have this AWS access portal and I can click on this account. So when I click on this account, the basic initial setup that was already done by AWS organization is the IAM role, and that name of the IAM role is organization account access role. So this role was created automatically when you create a new AWS account. And here you can see that it has all access, administrative access. And in the trust relationship, you can see that this is your management account that can assume this role and can do all the configurations, all the resources, everything can be done. So we have the basic initial setup so that we really don't need to log into these member accounts. I have just logged in to show how this will work. But in general, you can directly use this organization account access role and start creating any resources. Okay, so now I am using Terraform to create a sample resource and I will be talking about all the basic configuration which is required as per the Terraform. So in Terraform, we declare a provider file which is required. So here I am using the AWS provider, and to authenticate with any of the AWS account, you need to have the access keys and the secret keys. So here we will be using the access keys and secret keys of the AWS management account. The only place where you have to go to the IAM users, create a new IAM users and generate the access keys and secret keys. We don't need to create any other keys for all the member accounts. This is just one time. and then we will just assume the role. So here you can see that this is my member account, and this is the role that I have shown you, that organization account access role. So the organization account using these access keys will assume the role which was created on the member accounts and deploy all the resources which are required. So this is the basic provider configuration of the Terraform. And in the main.tf, I am creating the ECS cluster. So this is normal AWS resources ECS cluster, and here you have provided the provider configuration, because you can see here I am using the alias. So when you are using the alias, then you have to define which alias against you can create the resources, and this is required, and this is not, this is an optional, it depends. If you have a multiple AWS accounts, then you have a different provider configurations, and at that time the alias are important. So here you can see that this is my repositories, and it's just main.tf and provider.tf, nothing else in this. So now if I go to my terminal, here you can see that you can just run some Terraform init command, so that it will initialize all the providers and get all the uh, providers which are required to create that ECS cluster resource. And here you can just run the Terraform plan. So here you can see that it is showing me that ECS cluster will be created, and you can just do the Terraform apply and click on yes. So now you should be able to see that ECS cluster was created successfully. So let me show you. So here if you go to this cluster, and you can see that this cluster was created successfully. I don't need to log into this member accounts, everything was created automatically. So the one thing that if somebody not know how to create the IAM users and create the secret keys, so you can just go ahead here and create a user, and under that there is an option called security credentials, and this is what we need, access key. So you can just click on create access keys. You can provide an option CLI, I understand, and then you can click on next and create access key. So here you will get the access keys that you can use it. This video is just for the for the local testing. In the next I will use the GitHub actions and do the full automation, then I will show you how to use these secrets and where to store it. For now I have just stored it on my command prompt, and just export like tf variables and just use it, and just for testing purpose you can directly hard code on your local system and test it, but that is not advisable if you have to push your code to the GitHub repositories. Just for testing purpose you can do that. Thank you.